Hey man, welcome! This is Pod Crashed. It's the podcast that can be a bit of a train wreck. Almost every week, your hosts, Anna and April, they talk to their guests about life, liberty, and the pursuit of all things random. I hope you enjoy the next hour.
If you don't enjoy the next hour, you're lame!
Shut up, and sit down.
Do you wanna be in my game, my game, my game? Oh yeah!
I loved that movie. I don't care what people say.
It's a good one. It's a
They're
good
getting
one.
back together.
The Spice Girls?
What?
I like how they're all still like each other. I mean,
Backstreet Boys kind of got, or NSYNC.
They-
Who got back
They
together?
never
Backstreet Boys
really split
really
up.
never split up, and they're still like touring and stuff. They did a tour a couple years ago with Backstreet Boys and New Kids on the Block.
What?
Because my cousin went to it, and she was the New Kids on the Block fan because she's like my brother's age. But I'm like, that's a pretty substantial. It's like a decade gap though between when they both were popular.
They're both the same type, though.
That's true. Boy bands. Mm-hmm. Miss a good boy band where they would dance. They would have choreography. Mm-hmm. Like boy bands now, like One Direction didn't dance and they didn't play instruments. They just stood there.
They jumped around.
Jump around. Jump around.
Yeah, they crisscrossed
That's
it
not
up.
their song.
Jump up and get down. OPP? No, that wasn't. Who sang Jump Around?
I don't know.
OPP was down with OPP.
Yeah, you know he.
Who sang Jump Around? Jump up and get down. House of Pain.
There it is.
Not to be confused with the TV show.
Yeah, this is spelled P-A-I-N, not P-A-Y-N-E, like the last name Payne. This is not a Tyler Perry production. So I was at the library the other day, and I was reading books. And you remember the movie Precious?
Yeah.
And it was
Based on the novel by Sapphire.
Precious, based on the novel Push by Sapphire. Well, we had a copy of the novel Push by Sapphire, but we also had a text copy of the movie Precious based on the novel Push by Sapphire. So it was the book and then the novelization of the movie that was based on the book. And I just thought that was really funny how we happened to have both. I was like, why?
I mean, if the movie is different enough, it could be its own.
And it probably was.
book.
I didn't see the movie or read the book because I saw the trailer and thought that looks so sad. Why would I want to watch someone be abused for 2 hours by Monique? And then you can never watch the Parkers ever again because you're like, that lady's a bitch.
Like Handmaid's Tale. I haven't watched that just because I know it's all about sexual abuse.
I
and
don't.
Like,
There's
It's not
certain
all about that.
like trafficking and stuff.
There's certain things that I don't mind. Like, because I will watch a Lifetime movie about a horrible abusive relationship. I will watch a horror movie about a slash. I will watch a lot of terrible stuff. But then if it's too close to something that I buy as a realistic thing that will affect me, then I don't want to know it. And Handmaid's Tale there is too close in my mind to what a reality we could have in the not too distant future. I can't watch it because then it's not entertaining at that point. It's just like a cautionary tale.
Are you going down the Trump tirade road?
No.
No?
I can, but we don't have to. We don't have to. Let's keep
I
it
assume
upbeat.
every kind of
April
tirade
already
tried
cried
goes
this morning,
back
so
to-
we don't want to get it any worse.
I did not
We called
fully cry.
We called and interviewed the guy from the book that we got from her uncle's publisher, and he wrote a book. It's an autobiography, but it's all about how he has a sixth sense. He can sense
He can see dead people.
like he talks to dead
Simple
people
enough, he can-
and gets like messages from spirits and does that whole John Edwards crossing over thing. And Linda was here too, and they both got a little.
Yeah, as soon as I told her that he is a medium and that we're going to be talking to him, she's like, oh, can I sit in on? Can I be there? Can I go? Can I come listen? Please, please, please. She loves that.
So
kind
he
of
picks
stuff.
up on cues that he can see in your face, and
Well, this
No,
was just
that
a phone
over the
call.
phone. Yeah,
But
I thought you were doing it on Skype.
it's Skype phone call though.
just a phone call. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
pay
But
pay the $2 a month to be able to call people on my computer.
man, just Skype is just getting rich off us.
They are. They're getting my $2.
Yeah.
Damn
Do you have
them.
any opinion or stance on people that feel that they can talk to spirits or
Psychics,
see spirits?
mediums?
Do you have any
I just think
opinions?
they're very intuitive. I don't think they can actually
Okay.
do it.
I think intuitive is a good word though, because I think there are people that pick up. I mean, there's people who are like uber empathetic. They pick up on people's feelings a lot more than other people. Like people who are like, I don't know, I didn't know they were upset till they started crying, versus people who like can sense, okay, they're getting upset, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I think intuitive is a good word if you don't necessarily believe in a spiritual side of it.
Should listen to the episode though.
He won't.
Pretty good. Listen to it, Justin.
I'll get there eventually.
We're gonna like chain you up into. That's your that would be your torture for us.
I
We
wanna
just
be
chain.
tortured.
Yeah, if there
Chain
is an
you up
afterlife, he
into
goes to
torture.
the good place, quote unquote, the bad place, and that's his version of the bad place is
Just trapped
being
somewhere
forced
where
to
you have to be forced
he's
to
like,
listen to our
you have
whole...
to. He has to listen to podcasts the rest of his life. He's like, but I can't see them. I can't see them. Like he's
There's
just
no
mad.
pictures.
He's just mad. There's no video.
I just like the visual aspect.
Yeah, you're a visual
Yeah.
thinker. It's fine.
Maybe one
I don't
day
hate
we'll...
podcasts.
Don't care for them.
I'll listen to one, and I just can't listen to them like over
Mm-hmm.
and over like you guys do.
Yeah, it
I
is.
don't listen to the same one.
Well,
over
no, I
and
mean,
over.
but I can't
Like a
I can
whole-
do one. I might be able to do half of one and then come back and fit.
Yeah.
Like I can't.
Oh, you
Which,
like
you know,
binge.
it's not. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a very common. I think that's one of the reasons that even though podcasts are becoming more and more popular, that's not that's the reason they're not like huge, is because they're still like same reason audiobooks have never really gotten like
Taken
as
off.
popular as like regular books are, because people have trouble just listening to things and not like having something to focus visually on.
It's not because they just have really boring people reading the book.
Well, I mean, some audiobooks can be, but I like that's why when I choose an audiobook, it has to the narrator is very important to me. Like I like Neil Gaiman, but the only reason I gave him a shot was because he narrates all of his books and he sounds like a slightly higher pitched version of Alan Rickman when he talks.
Okay.
So he's got that kind of Snape British voice.
Oh, okay.
And it's really good. Like it lends itself to the stories he writes. But some you listen to and you're just like, I can't grasp this. It's not entertaining. But I don't know. I like being read to like a child. So
I think, well, I mean, like, I usually can't listen to a book on tape because I think it's because it's a story, and Mom would read to us when we were younger, so I would fall asleep to stories.
Yeah.
I read and I fall asleep in the middle of reading a book.
Yeah.
But, like, podcasts, it's a discussion.
that's true.
So,
Do you think if podcasts had been around when you were a kid, you would have listened to them to fall asleep, but you couldn't enjoy them now?
I don't think I would listen to them to fall asleep because I don't like doing that because then I miss stuff. And I don't like going back and be like, okay, where was I? God dang it. So,
Yeah, I don't have that issue. I do anything and I fall asleep.
Yeah. Well, you watch TV to fall. Do you still watch TV to fall asleep?
I
Because
don't-
you used to.
Right now, like I'll have it on Netflix,
Uh-huh.
but I'll turn it so it's just the audio, like my screen's not on, because then it'll like continue to play episodes.
Yeah.
And then I get lost. But so I'll turn it so it's just the audio. Then it shuts off. After
You know
that
what you
episode.
should do? Listen to podcasts to fall asleep.
Yeah.
Because that's just the audio.
they have specific podcasts
That will
you
help
can
you go to
listen
sleep.
that will
Yeah,
help
but
you
I'll
go
go
to
back
sleep.
and like watch the episode and like I'll remember hearing.
You're like, oh,
things,
that's what
but-
they were doing when they were talking about this. You put
But
the
I
image
won't
to
go
the
back and listen to
volume.
the podcast. Like I'll never get through a full
Yeah,
podcast because I'd only do it when I was going to sleep.
yeah. I have to. I can't listen or watch anything to fall asleep, but I can't sit there. I hate sitting there trying to fall asleep, so I will do something until like my eyes are closing, and then I'll turn it off. Because I can't. I hate sitting in bed just trying to fall asleep. It's like the worst feeling for me.
And you'll do it for hours sometimes.
Yeah, and that just drives me insane. So I'd rather, which I know is not good for you, to like watch stuff right up, to have your brain stimulated right up till you fall asleep.
Which I mean, that's what I
But-
do too. Like I'll go to bed and I'll play a game on my phone. I'll actually watch
Yeah.
Netflix until I'm
Real
getting ready to
tired.
fall asleep. And then I'll usually shut that episode off and like turn on like The Office or that 70s show, like
Yeah.
things I've already like seen.
That you don't have to
Yep.
follow. Yeah.
And then I'm out within like 4 minutes. Usually.
I'm out. Like a baby in a bed.
I'm out in like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
10. You know? I have no problem falling asleep.
The only time I ever have trouble falling asleep even when I'm really tired is, one, if I've been super lazy that day and my body's restless. My brain's tired, but my body's like, no, you haven't done anything today, so you don't get to fall asleep, yeah, bitch. And then the other thing is if the temperature, if it's like super hot or super cold and I can't get comfortable, then I have trouble falling asleep.
I just like sleep. Like even when we're having game nights and we are there playing a game, like
Yeah.
I have no
And you
problem
just fall
falling
asleep.
asleep
Just
on the
falling
couch
asleep.
right
Or when you force us all to come over to someone's house to specifically watch something that you want to watch.
and then you fall
and
asleep.
then you fall asleep, so we're stuck watching whatever it is.
Yep.
You do like the dad thing where we try and change it, and you wake up and go, "Oh, we're watching that. What do you mean?"
Yeah.
I do that with my nieces and nephews. They want to watch a movie. Like, sure, put one on. We'll go watch one, and then I'll wake up when like the ending credits are on. I'm like, all right, what do you want to watch now?
You're like, it's a good movie. You're like, whatever.
Well, usually it's something I've already seen, and I just want them to watch it. So.
Yeah.
Well,
Many a viewing of the Mighty Ducks have been that way. Or the Goonies. So our 14-year-old Paige had never seen the Goonies. And Jenny was like, you have to see the Goonies. She like made him take the Goonies home with him. He brought it back, but I didn't ask if he watched it.
oh, probably just took it home to humor her.
Well, there's certain things, movies and books and TV shows and stuff that like, if you aren't the right age when you're like, when you view them or when you find them, like they still might be enjoyable to you, but they don't hold the same weight.
Yeah, the magic's not there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
It's like going to Disney World. If
Yeah.
If you're not a kid, yeah, it's...
like, I mean, yeah, if I eventually in my life go, I'm sure I'll have fun, but I'll be viewing it as an adult. Whereas if I went when I was like 10, it would have been, I'm not focused on the heat or the smells or the waiting in line. It's like, oh, the magic of Disney. Now I'd be, as an adult, I'd be like, oh my God, can we just go? I don't, oh, there's a poor heat stroke victim dressed as Cinderella, and I don't want them to touch me. I'll take a picture, but I don't want them to touch me because I don't know who they are. Yeah.
if you enjoy those things as a kid, when you go back to them as an adult, it's more of the nostalgia of
Yeah.
it that
Oh,
you
yeah,
really
definitely.
enjoy versus the actual
Which is why
thing
it's
itself.
difficult when there's something that it's really important to you from your childhood and you tell it to somebody who didn't really know it and they don't get the same wonderment, and then you feel like angry at them even though it's not their fault. They
Right.
don't get the same wonderment.
That's
It's like,
me.
no. Yeah. Well, I showed you. So Royal and I showed Justin and Sarah the Goonies in college because neither of them had seen them right as a kid. Yep. And they both were like, yeah, it's a good movie. It's funny. Like I like the kids, but it's like, no, it's amazing. And they're like, it's all right. And you're just like, no, but it's different because they didn't see it when they were like 8, you know?
It's like for me, people haven't seen The Sandlot. Like,
Right.
How do you not love that movie?
Yeah.
April, you've never seen The Sandlot?
I don't think so.
That's the one about the kids' baseball team, and the baseball goes over the fence of the neighbor, and he's the big dog, and they have to get the ball. They spend all the rest of the movie trying to get the ball back from the dog, and the dog is like, the epic story of the dog's size and like history keeps getting more and more ridiculous. We watched
Turns
it.
out at the end he's like just a normal
he's a
sized
regular
dog.
dog.
Little chihuahua.
There's this great scene where the one kid tells the story of of how it was a junkyard dog and they had to lock it up because it was too big, and when you see the dog, like it's like obviously a puppet, but it's like the dog's head's like the size of this table. And I remember watching it. We watched it in sports statistics in 8th grade, which was a class that we took.
Miss Lyons.
Miss Lyons.
Yeah.
And I watched it with Dusty was in the class with me, and she goes, I hate this movie. And I go, how do you hate this movie? She goes, there's no way the dog is that large. And the fact that they think the dog is that large means they're stupid. Like she just was really angry at the inconsistency size of the dog through the whole movie that it like ruined it for her. But it's a classic. It's but you'd watch it now and I'm sure you'd like it, but you wouldn't have the same nostalgia, like Justin said, as the rest of us would. So
Every time I kind of see it, I think about watching it, but I never do.
I have a copy. I'll let you borrow it.
I think, well, no.
She'll think about watching that
I
copy.
don't have Netflix.
I did lend her
anymore.
Orphan Black. She had it for like 5 months. I don't think she watched it at all.
Did
You
I
never
give
watched
that back?
Orphan Black?
Did I give that back to you?
You did give
finally?
it back to
Okay.
me. I was looking for it one day and I thought, no,
Did you
I'm
not
sure
enjoy
I
it? I know you watched some of it.
I made
I
her watch
just-
like the first couple episodes, but I don't think she continued.
No, I got through like the first season or 2.
Just didn't grab you, huh?
I think just something else kind of came along, or like
Game of Thrones season
started over.
She had to rewatch it,
It's like Liz. I had her start watching 13 Reasons Why. Like, I was at her house. I'd already watched it, and I watched like 4 episodes with her, like sitting there watching it. And then I left, and then I don't know if she's watched it since then. She really liked it. She said she was into it. But
have you watched season 2?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't watch either of them, but I heard the finale of season 2 was real hard to watch.
It's not really hard to watch, but I mean, I could see why people were upset that it was included in it.
Yeah.
But I mean, it wasn't really hard to watch.
Nowadays, especially with television and the high standard to which we hold TV to nowadays, you got to push the envelope, and you got to keep. Like, I remember a couple years ago when I think it was The Good Wife. I never watched The Good Wife, but I remember hearing that in the middle of season 2, one of their main characters, just in the middle of the season, dies. And everyone was like, what? Like, it was this big. And now that doesn't seem uncommon, because we have Game of Thrones that kills regular stars all the time. Walking Dead does the same thing, where sometimes they'll save it for a finale, or it'll be a big thing. But used to be, they never killed characters. They would write them off or send them away, or they'd wait till the very end and they'd say, oh, and then this person died. But it was really rare. Mm-hmm. And now it's people's we got to get that shock value, because there's so much to watch that we got to get people's attention. Mm-hmm. So I'm never surprised.
Motivated. Oh no, the good guy died. Who are you going to root for now?
And I really like what they've been doing with a lot of shows, like How to Get Away with Murder, when they show what happens, and then they do the flashbacks. Mm-hmm. So you already know what's happening, but then the whole season is flashbacks of how it got to
there.
That point.
Yeah.
Which they did that with Quantico, and I don't know, I just like that, how they're doing that. I never really saw that with shows before.
Yeah. Well, I think they're giving people much more creative freedom. It doesn't have to fit a mold of what TV shows have worked in the past. Mm-hmm. Because they're no, people want to see different stories, so they're much more willing to bear with people when it and follow them in their however they want to tell the story.
Well, and it's smart though, because you find out this thing happens, and then you want to know how it happened, so that's how they keep you interested.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm a component. I'm all for creative storytelling, whatever weird way you want to do it. I thought it'd be interesting. I don't know if it'd be practical if you had a TV show. It was the pilot episode, an hour, right? And it was about 2 people meeting and their relationship of starting, and then after that first episode, it diverts into 2 separate TV shows, where one is their relationship as a comedy and one is their relationship as a drama. But it's the same people and the same characters, but 2 different TV shows. And then you could decide whether you wanted to go the comedy, Friends route, where it was oh, they get into wacky scenarios, and it's kind of, the friend, the uncle comes into town and he won't or it's a serious, This Is Us drama of all the emotional sides of the,
So it's a Wednesday drama, Thursday comedy.
Exactly, but it's the same characters and the same story, but they could divulge into different storytelling, so it doesn't have to be the same plots, but it can be.
Now does it follow their life? So it's they have drama on this day, and all you see is the dramatics of it, but then it's the upbeat comedy the next day, and then it's just.
It alternates, so it much.
But the story keeps going on, so it's the same story.
It's the same story, but it's different.
The story continues into the next.
It's whatever you prefer to see it as. So the scenario could be
funny. Or
is
it the same storyline Wednesday, same storyline Thursday? It's just one is seen as a drama, one is seen as a comedy, but it's the same information.
It could be either. So for instance, one episode could be
his point of view, her point of view.
They want to have want to have a baby, and so the comedy storyline is a wacky they babysit to see if they want to have a baby, but it's funny because they can't babysit and they have different opinions. Or the drama could be they find out they can have a baby and they have to, you know what I mean? So it's the same kind of idea, but it's how it's handled differently in a comedy versus a drama. I don't know.
That is interesting.
I don't know if that would be practical or if people would be on board for that, but I thought that would be interesting.
I think it would confuse a lot of people.
Well, that's the thing. You didn't have to watch both. You could literally just watch one.
What
or the
if it was
other
a Netflix type thing where both were released at the same time? So you could do the same show as a drama, the same show,
and then you could people could vote on what they wanted.
Not necessarily vote, but it's you can stream it all at one time, so you don't have to wait for it.
Yeah.
So you can watch the whole show as a comedy, or you can watch the whole show as a drama.
Yeah, and if the characters and the act and the ensemble, because I'm very much a believer of an ensemble. If you have a show that's kind of mediocre in the concept, if the cast is amazing, you'll watch anything. So if it's got a really strong cast and really strong characters, then I think it would do well either.
Well,
either
that
way.
concept's really cool, but I think it would more as like showing Wednesday night, Thursday night type thing. I think it would work more if it was all done at one time, so you could view it all.
Oh yeah, well now's the way to go. If I was a creator of any sort of television show, regardless of what it was, I would go to a streaming service. I wouldn't want to put it on TV nowadays. They still have such a ridiculously high standard that you have to meet to be a successful television show that they cancel good stuff all the time. Because the ratings aren't good. Well, the ratings aren't good, one, because you're still holding the rating standards to the standards they were in the 90s before people had streaming services and TiVo and whatever. And also...
Well, I think they include streaming now, but only for like the next... like 3 days or something.
And it has to be the platform. So, like, NBC only counts the streaming for NBC's website. It doesn't count if it's on Hulu. It doesn't count if they find it on Netflix or
YouTube.
Yeah. So, like, they only count certain things. Plus, they do that thing where they, like, move it around and then people don't know where it's at. You know what I mean? Like, how often have you heard of a TV show? Maybe not when it's before it's aired, but once it's aired, like season 1 of this show. And everyone's like, have you seen this show? It's real good. It had a whole season. And you don't know where it was. You're like, was it on TV? Was it on Netflix? No, it's on Crackle. It's on some other streaming service you've never heard of, or you've only heard of once, and the only reason you've heard of it is because it had one show that everybody liked. And so now it's like you hear about them, and then you have to try to figure out where they're at or how to watch it. Like, oh, it was already on. Well, is it available streaming? Do I have to wait till the DVD comes out? Like,
I have to pay $5 so I can
watch it on Amazon. Yeah, but just a lot of stuff. And whereas movies, not so great. I mean, they're all right, but their quality's definitely gone down. Because it's like gigantic, like, blockbusters like the Marvel movies. Or, you know.
Yeah, and I don't really watch movies unless I go to the theater to see them. Like, I got Netflix, but I don't watch movies on it. I use Netflix for TV shows pretty much.
It's pretty,
comedies,
There's a lot of choices, and I think I feel overwhelmed when I try to go to a streaming service and find a movie.
Unless I'm going specifically for something. There might be stuff I want to watch, but like I'll be like, there might be something better I want to watch, and I can never make a decision.
And isn't that funny how you're like, oh, well, I don't want to watch a full movie. I'd rather watch an episode of a TV show, but then that's one episode of like, 12 plus hours versus 1 2-hour movie. But
then I might watch like 6 episodes while I'm sitting there.
Yeah, whereas you could have watched 3 movies at the same time, and you're like, no, but it feels different though to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what have you been watching lately, Justin?
I just started watching Castle Rock, which premiered on
Hulu. I really want to see that.
That's
I don't
good.
have Hulu, but I want to see
The Stephen King.
Yep.
I was excited because it's set in the Stephen King universe, so it's like multiple Stephen King
and
stories.
it takes place at Shawshank.
Yeah,
Yep.
and it's got
Bill
Pennywise in it, not as Pennywise, but as the character.
Bill Skarsgård.
Skarsgård.
I just started yesterday the new season of Orange is the New Black.
Okay.
I'm making my way through iZombie.
I just got
about that
I'm
one.
mid season 2 on iZombie because I just started rewatching it.
Right, and I don't really care for the story so much, but I love the Veronica Mars references.
Oh yeah.
All the time.
It's not as good as Veronica Mars, but it's definitely got the same tone, which is what I really like about it.
And a lot of the characters not characters, but actors from Veronica Mars
are in it.
Show up. Yeah.
It has a way of like some of the characters from season 1, like her boyfriend there, the major character. I just remember thinking in season 1, wow, this guy's dull.
He's not a good actor.
I don't really like him. And then they give him more stuff to do, and they give him a little bit more depth. But you're just like, wow, you go to IMDb and he's on all the seasons, isn't he? Like you figure he'd like be killed.
And I don't even think the main character there, like starting out, like I thought she was not very good acting either. But I think that's just how she's doing the character. Yeah.
Well, her regular zombie self has to be a real kind of a shell because every episode she has to take on the characteristics of the brain she eats. So it's like...
Yeah. Zombies aren't really supposed to have personalities anyway.
I just like the terrible wig, which my sister, who's all the way up to season 4, says, oh, by the way, season 4, they don't even bother. She just lies and says she's wearing a wig, but she has her real hair the whole season. And I'm like, so she finally, after 4 seasons, got tired of it and was just like, I'm really wearing my real hair and I'm not gonna... Well, that show, like a lot like Veronica Mars, it must be a thing Rob Thomas has, not the Rob Thomas from Matchbox 20.
But you know how we've had this discussion ever since Rob Thomas wrote that?
Yeah.
Well, since he's been on, he's not the Rob Thomas from Matchbox 20.
Yeah.
Rob Thomas from Matchbox 20 is in an episode of iZombie.
Is he?
Yep. You want a spoiler?
What season is it?
Season 2. I think it's right at the end of season 2.
Oh, then I'll get to it soon because
Yeah.
I'm mid-season 2. Is he part of like a bigger storyline, or does he just have his own?
He plays himself. Yeah.
I'll get
leave
to
it
it.
at
I'll get to it when I'll text you when I. I've always wished the theme song. I like the theme song from Veronica Mars, but I wished it was always Matchbox 20 song. But they could have done the theme song or they could have done a song to iZombie because they say. No, that's Dave Matthews Band. Never mind. Has a song called Gravedigger, and I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I get them confused. Matchbox 20 and Dave Matthews.
Well, one's better than the other.
Isn't
Which one?
One more
Matchbox
hip hop.
20. Better.
Isn't one more hip hop rock and one is country?
No,
You're
they're
thinking
both
of the Zac Brown Band.
Oh, okay. What band did you say?
Dave Matthews Band.
Okay.
They're both like 90s alternative, like
I've been up for
Dave
longer than
Matthews
24
is a
hours.
little
Give me a
bit
break.
like more folky, but not like certainly not country. But yeah. Anyway, they're both mediocre bands, so it doesn't really matter.
Okay.
What about you, April? Have you been watching anything lately?
I'm pretty lame, and I just rewatch shows that I like. So
I do that too when I'm like, I should be watching something new, and I just, watching iZombie, I'm like, I should go back and watch Veronica Mars, so I'll probably do that after I'm done,
Right.
even though I've seen it multiple times. So what have you been rewatching?
Right now I've been rewatching Veep
'Kay.
on HBO,
Uh-huh.
which it's a good ensemble.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I watched season 1 of that, which was good. I meant to finish it, but I never went back.
I like it just because
Do
it's the reason Anna Klumsky got back into acting. From My Girl. We've already discussed
The
you've never
assistant,
seen
the blonde.
seen My Girl.
Well,
We've had
maybe
this
she has
discussion.
dark hair and Veep. No, she's blonde.
She's like a light brunette. She plays the assistant, the one I saw that episode. You were watching the one episode where they were waiting for the election results,
Yeah.
and she plays the one who shows back up. And was like, I thought I should be here.
Oh, okay, yeah,
That
her.
lady.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
she was a child actress, and she was in the My Girl series and a couple other things. And so, like, when she got back into acting, it was because of Veep.
That's her as a kid.
Yeah, she was in My Girl with Macaulay Culkin, where he gets stung by the bees.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, so.
It's a good one.
Another
My Girl
one
and
you
My
have to
Girl
watch
too.
as
And
a
again,
kid to probably.
yeah, you'd probably not dislike it, but you probably wouldn't
love that
care
movie.
about it as much as it was a good one.
Where's his glasses?
You can't see without it. Oh, it's got one of those moments in it where you're like 10 years old just sobbing. And you're like, I
Right.
hope none of my friends die. Yeah.
So I've been rewatching that, and then nerd alert for me. I've been watching Critical Role on YouTube, which is just watching people play D&D.
Have you ever watched Will Wheaton does a channel called Geek and Sundry?
That's what it's on. It's on
Yeah.
Geek and Sundry.
Yeah, where he does the different like board game.
I've watched a couple
So
of those.
you watch him and his friends, which they're not all interesting, but it depends on the guests. But
Yeah.
he'll be like, yeah, this person I've known for 20 years, and it'll be some actor he was a kid in a movie with when he was a kid. And you're like, oh my god, that guy, and they'll play a game together. I always thought, there should be, I don't know if there is, I've never done the research, but there should be an entire YouTube channel that's just devoted to explaining how to play board games. So like instead of having to
read, how theirs is.
I guess
They-
that's
they-
true.
'cause you
they
learn how
play
to
it
play
though,
it.
but they should, just explain
Literally
the rules.
where you could just
No.
go on and you could just type in Monopoly and it would be somebody saying, hey, and they would just essentially tell you what's in the owner's manual or in the instruction manual, but via video since nobody likes to read anymore.
Call dibs on it while you can.
I know, right? It'd
Someone's
just
gonna
be-
take it.
I mean, we have all the board games.
That's true. We could totally do our own channel.
Then whenever game nights, we'll just like pull up that video to watch the.
I once
watch the instructions.
we'll just
instead
and
of
we'll
read it.
like try our best to like get it popular just so it'll be the top search engine when people Google how to play a game.
Yeah.
So like how to play Cranium, and so it pops up right there at the top with Wikipedia. I once saw get out your shot glass, April. As a drag queen said she said you should give yourself a drag name that's the exact name of a celebrity, and then spend your entire career trying to get your website higher up on the Google searches than that famous person. She's like, so call yourself Sharon Stone, and then try to be more famous than the actual Sharon Stone. You should do that with your kids. You should name your kid something that's a celebrity name. Like you should name
You
your
have to
kid
change
like
it though. You can't keep it the same as the celebrity though, can you?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
As long as you're not in the acting guild or the actors equity, then you can have whatever name you want. You have to change it because they can't have duplicates.
Gotcha.
Like, did you know Michael Douglas's name? No, Michael Keaton's name is Michael Douglas. He couldn't use it because Michael Douglas was already around, so he changed it to Michael Keaton.
Is that why people have screen names?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that makes more sense.
Michael-
Than they're just doing it to do it.
So, just because, I don't know. They used to change them a lot more because they didn't want your name to sound foreign. But now it's just because there's other people with the same name. But, well, I would just watch, I'm catching up with iZombie. Are you okay, April?
Oh yeah, I think Otto must have texted Uncle Chris.
Oh, because he texted you?
Because he texted me. He's like, "Hey there, everything okay? I heard you guys had a good show and reading. You all right?" Must have told him that we got weepy.
Yeah. What did I watched Glow.
Hello,
Gorgeous,
I've seen that
gorgeous
one.
ladies of wrestling. I really
The
liked
first
it.
season.
I'm all on board for Allison Brie. I love her and everything she does. If I had to be in a relationship with a couple, if I had to be part of a throuple, it would definitely be her and Baby Franco. Dave Franco,
Dave.
thank you. Because I think that would be a wonderful, just to hang out with them, I think would be great. But yeah, it's real good. Mark Maron's really good in it. Plays a great misogynist because it's set in the 80s, so every man's a misogynist. And Piz, speaking of Veronica Mars, Piz is in it, and he's really, really good. He's like the optimistic, because he just really likes wrestling, and so he doesn't care about everything else. So I really like his character a lot. Did you watch the whole series?
Of
Glow.
I watched two
Well,
episodes.
the first season.
You watched
and
the first season?
I vaguely paid attention to the first 2 episodes, so I don't even...
That's okay. I recommend if you do, it's because it's an original, it's 12 episodes, and then they just released season 2, which is 12. So it's not a huge time commitment. I think I watched both seasons in maybe a week and a half. But season 2, you would like April because it's got a whole episode that's just looks like the Glow television show, because the whole time they're creating a TV show. They're wrestling, but it's for a television program, which is why they're actresses.
Yep.
And so they talk about it, but you never see the TV show. And then season 2, one episode is just the TV show, so you get to see all the crappy storylines and the weird acting. And it runs a lot like an old it reminded me a lot of Power Rangers, when you used to watch Power Rangers in the 90s, and it was they're
Hey, you.
they're like, oh no, we have to fight him, and then there's these really terrible choreographed fight scenes and weird music, and it's just the storylines don't make any sense because they're soap opera storylines, so it's all weird story arcs that don't make sense, but then they also have to work wrestling into it.
Yeah.
So it's she's a Russian spy and she kidnapped my daughter, so now we have to wrestle. And then her twin sister doesn't like her, so she's gonna help me find my daughter, and then we have to wrestle. It's so bizarre, but it's so entertaining. I'd watch a whole show of just that. It's just so weird. But I've never seen any of the clips of the original show, so
Yeah.
I'm sure it was just as bizarre.
It's based off of
It's based on
show?
it's not obviously the characters are fictional, but they're inspired by characters from the actual original Glow television series, which I think was only on from 82 to 84. It was a real brief span. But
so it was like an actual wrestling show.
Yeah, it was an actual wrestling
wasn't a show about them putting on a show. It was the actual show.
Okay. And then that parlayed eventually into actual women being in wrestling. So now you have the divas and stuff, and that's. But they don't do it for a show. Well, they have a reality show, but it parlayed into actually wrestling as opposed to just a TV show about ladies wrestling.
They only wrestle each other, though.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, in wrestling today, there's women wrestlers, but they only wrestle other women. They never go against other guys.
Yeah.
Or
In the TV show, they wrestle just each other.
I feel like they do, because I remember, I haven't watched it in years, but I remember the Big Show and Trish Stratus were tag team partners.
Yeah.
So I think, at least in that aspect, I feel like Trish
also wrestled a dude.
the dude that was part of that tag team.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think it's funny because they had even men's wrestling had the whole soap opera aspect of this person messing with this, because I know
I don't like you. You stole my girl.
Yeah,
That's what made me quit watching WCW because Goldberg The golden boy.
She just held her
Love
hand up
him.
like she was praying
God.
to Jesus.
I worshipped that man. He was
Yeah.
like the good guy where
Yeah,
if
yeah,
ever anyone was like getting bullied.
Yeah, he
the
would
crowd
show
would
up.
Start, the crowd
He was
would
the
start saying...
I would say he's the big dude. They're all the big
They're
dude.
all big
He was like
dudes.
the really big dude, right? The really
was pretty
tall
jacked,
one.
yeah.
Yeah. I remember
I mean,
him.
they're all pretty tall.
Yeah.
Yeah, the crowd would start chanting Goldberg.
Yeah, yeah.
And he'd come out and kick
Help.
him out.
Yeah.
You know, kick shit. But then they started a whole storyline with him where he kidnapped someone's like girlfriend
Yeah.
and was turning evil. And I'm like, no.
Well, it's funny because
Nope.
what you get from Glow is it's about ratings. It's about like people wanting to root for the evil character in addition to the good character. So you want like a good balance. So if you essentially, as an entertainer, you want attention. So even if you have to be the bad guy to get the attention, it's like worth it. So I think it's much easier to talk them into being like, okay, you've been great for 5 seasons or whatever, but now you're gonna have to step it up and be the bad guy. But people
Well, I
love
feel
it.
like some people like
People
go
hate
back
it
and
and
forth.
love it.
Like
Yeah.
they're the bad guy. Then
Yeah.
they're, like I feel like The Rock. I feel like he was a bad guy for a long time.
Yeah. When he had
And-
hair and then he went
right.
bald and now he's the good guy.
Good guy. It's
I-
like the opposite of Lex Luthor.
I only remember bits of wrestling from when you and your sister were really into it in the
yeah.
late 90s because there's certain like I remember Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yep.
But mostly because
That
of those
was-
Austin.
WWF.
Well, I don't know
That was
who
a
was
different.
who. I just
there was
know
like 2 different factions.
Yes, and well, there was WWF that had to then change to the WWE because WWF stands for World Wildlife Federation, and they sued them. I remember that.
Really?
The one was owned by Vince McMahon.
WCW.
They do movies now. Like anytime you see a
Yeah.
wrestler, obviously minus The Rock, but every time you see a wrestler in like leading a movie, it's pretty much guaranteed to have been produced by the wrestling, which they're lucrative.
Yeah.
They
And,
really are.
I mean, they're acting.
Yeah.
They're wrestling.
Yeah.
So
But
yeah. But yeah, The Rock is the only one that's kind of.
Well, John Cena.
Oh, yeah,
now
John
he did,
Cena.
but a lot of the early stuff, like the one he did where his wife was kidnapped, it was essentially Taken. Only he was a Marine or whatever. I think it might have been called The Marine or something.
I think so.
But
yeah.
that was produced by them. And
Yep.
What about that TV show that John Cena did? Where
He did a TV show.
well, it was like a reality show where people came and they stayed at this house and they had to compete, and then they were all part of like 3 different teams, and then like one person got voted out each week.
Like Big Brother.
Kind of, it was like a boot camp type thing though, where
Oh. I must have missed that one. I don't know.
Well, I know he's been on because they have the Divas have their own reality show, and he's been on that because he was engaged to one of them.
John Cena was just like the host of that show.
I'll look him up.
As we sit here quietly,
Right.
Justin and Anna furiously typing away on their phones.
Well, I was just gonna.
Oh my god, what's the show? What is it called? What's it called?
Do you want to just sit here in curiosity then forever, or do you want an answer?
I'm gonna sit here in
People don't
semi-comatose.
It was called The Marine, by the way,
Yes. Yeah.
with
Was that his movie?
Kelly Carlson, who was in Nip Tuck, not Kelly Clarkson. Kelly Carlson.
Carlson. So close.
Yep. So weird because I gotta see where he's credited as himself, which is at the bottom.
Oh yeah. John
Otherwise-
Cena as
There's
himself.
a lot of WWE in here.
Yeah. They're busy. They are busy, and they all kind of relatively look the same to me because it's like a bulky dude with vague facial hair and like a tiny like onesie and boots. They all very similar looking. Mm-hmm. Okay, well Justin will find it because he knows better of what he's looking
American Grit.
for. Okay.
Is that what it's
The
called?
name sounds familiar, but I don't know if I ever remember.
4 teams of 4 regular Americans being led by 4 military veterans compete in obstacles to see who has what it takes to have American grit.
Do you remember
and of course
American?
he did because he act all military-ish.
Do you remember American Gladiators? Speaking of wrestling, like Glow, like that's what always reminds me of is that
I loved American Gladiators.
early
That was
90s
great.
American Gladiators. They used to have reruns of it on, is it USA Network? They used to watch during the summer.
And now Kevin Hart's got his summer TV show that's kind of reminds me of American Gladiators.
Uh-huh.
Where people are trying to get through an obstacle course and their
Yeah.
opponents throwing
Oh, well, like
throwing stuff at
all
them.
of those,
Oh,
or
like
like those
Wipeout,
Wipeouts,
More
or
dodgeball.
I know they did Ninja Warrior, but I think Ninja Warrior was after American. I don't know if it was inspired by, but now they have American Ninja Warrior. It's kind of similar
Because Americans can't finish the regular
Yeah.
Ninja Warrior.
Yeah.
I love that.
But yeah, I just remember watching it, and it would always be like, they were warriors because they definitely were from the late 80s because everyone had really 80s looks. But it was always like, they were always like Steel and Phaser, and they all like these gladiator names.
Well, I think with the American Ninja
Bonesaw.
Warrior, I think that TV show gets their winner, and then that person goes and competes
In the real
in the actual
Ninja Warrior war?
competition.
Yeah.
I think that's how that works.
Is it?
Yeah.
I definitely have an appreciation for people who can are physically fit enough to try those.
It's pretty impressive.
Like,
yeah.
I don't think, I know I can't. Even at my most physically fit, I don't think I'd have the stamina to do it. But it's pretty impressive. But I was like, the difference between that and like gladiators was occasionally you'd have like a dude who was like, he's the personal trainer at a gym, in Burbank. But most of the time it was like, this is Steve. He's a dentist from Florida. And it's like, he's like 95 pounds. And it's like him trying to physically battle some guy who's like 3 times his body weight, who's like,
And wasn't it
Jacked.
usually, I could be making this up, wasn't it like a husband and wife competing against like another husband and wife?
I think they had their couples, but I don't know if maybe they had that. I don't think it was like a definite
Like
rule.
the blue
but
team was a husband and wife, and the red team was a husband and wife, and
maybe. I know that, well, they had when they had the regular version, they might have had a version of that, because the regular version, it was 2 women and 2 men. The women were always in yellow and pink, and the men were always in red and blue or something,
Purple.
green and blue.
Green.
But they would battle the other gladiators, and then one of each. No, maybe they both did the final obstacle course. I just remember really wanting to do the obstacle course at the end.
Are
Because it was like,
you thinking of Guts?
no, you might be thinking.
Because that's the obstacle course I wanted to do at the end.
Oh, yeah. You get the aggro crack. You
Yeah,
climb
the
the
aggro
aggro with Mike
O'Malley.
who I was like, oh, he was a TV host. Never occurred to me he was an actor who just wanted a job. And Mo, who is the British lady wearing the stripy,
referees.
the referee jersey.
Yeah.
And she'd always have that thing like on the court, because she had that really weird British voice. And I'm just like, where is she from? I wanted to know more about Mo, but we never.
Probably look it up now.
What was Mo?
What's her backstory? What's
Do-
Mo's
do- do-
backstory?
do-
Do you have a Guts?
Goods. They used to have that one where it was like a bicycle, but you pedaled it with your hands, and you had to like pedal it through a thing, but you were like hanging off of it. Do you remember that? Or
Yeah.
it was like in a little thing, and you had to like. I always wanted to do that one. Those were kids though, so those were a little bit more obtainable. Mm-hmm. Moira
Quirk?
Moira. I didn't.
Rutland, England.
Yeah.
Rutland?
Apparently she's known for her work on The Mummy in 2017. I wonder what she did.
Oh, she does
Oh,
voice. She
that's
does.
the new one with like Tom Cruise.
She does voices
right?
for video games and cartoons.
Hey.
Is she production? Because if she's production,
Miscellaneous. I don't know what that means.
she was the voice on the Hannah Montana video game.
Oh.
Yeah, she does
has a video
ADR.
game?
Oh, she does voiceover work. So she does like ADR, which means like when they have a scene where they need people's voices like
In the background.
in the background, she does that. The Ben-Hur remake. Bunch of other stuff. Saving Mr. Banks. She was a Loop Troop. She was part of the Loop Troop.
Loop Troop. What's that?
Is that
It's the
like
da da
Goof Troop?
da da. Gone to the Loop Troop. That's the Goof Troop. Remember the Goof Troop?
Yeah, I thought that's what you were singing.
That's
but
what I was. I was trying to put Loop Troop in it. But then it occurred to me I knew none of the words other than Goof Troop.
about Loop Troop coming to get ya.
Yeah.
Loop Troop.
Putting it on the line, Loop Troop. I just was talking to my sister about the Saturday morning block with Hang Time.
I was just watching To Tell the Truth last night, hosted by Anthony Anderson. And one of the contestants wasn't the person that they were trying to find, but he was an extra that played an actual character on Hang Time, he said.
Oh, wow. Yeah, Hang Time about the basketball team with Anthony Anderson when he was Teddy Bear. That's what they called him. He was like Teddy Bear or something. Because he was like, yeah. And then they would have that show, and then City Guys.
They Was the Steve Harvey Show part of that? I feel like
Might have been.
Lori Beth Denberg was on a TV show that was.
It might have been. Or Steve Harvey was in there at a point, and then they had a show called. We got talking about it. Me and my sister. You'll appreciate this, Justin, because we were talking about Disney Channel original movies, and the kid who was in Johnny Tsunami was in a TV show that was on for maybe a season called One World about this house of foster kids that were all like teenagers, and he was one of the foster kids, and it had Alicia Rise, who was on the first couple seasons of all that.
Okay.
But it was essentially they were all foster siblings, so it was okay when they all dated each other.
Oh.
This is one of those shows. But I was thinking, we were talking about it, and I was like, this was really heavy stuff for a Saturday morning. Like, because I remember an episode of City Guys where the one female character almost gets raped.
Oh my God.
And it was like a Saturday kids show. It was like 10:30 on a Saturday morning. Well, maybe it was later because I think you watched all the cartoons first and then the live action ones after, because I remember watching like Recess and stuff in the morning. Or The Weekenders. Did you ever watch The Weekenders?
Maybe like once.
It was the cartoon about the 4 kids, but all of it took place from Friday, literally when the bell rang and they got out of school, to Sunday evening. Like that was all the episode, was them in the weekend. Yeah. It's a good show.
I know I've heard of it, but I've never watched it.
Who's banging their foot?
Me. Sorry.
April's like nodding off over here like a junkie. She's just
I have to hurt
tired.
myself in order to stay awake.
Well, we can always cut the
you want me to
episode
smack
short.
you?
It's okay.
Did we have a plan for this episode, or is it just
well,
us?
we mentioned talking about supernatural stuff, but to be honest with you, the only thing I found an article about the scientific proof behind people who think they can talk to spirits.
Really?
I'll read it to you.
And what was that scientific proof?
So I thought it would kind of contradict the conversation we had with the author, so that's why I didn't know if I wanted to bring it up. It's the science of ghosts. What really happens when your brain detects like a soul?
A ghost.
So, first of all, it says 45% of Americans believe that ghosts are real. And then 28% have admitted to having some sort of contact with a spirit.
There's gotta be more than that. Just admitted, though.
Yes. But so it talks about this lady who so there's this lady who she used this TED talk about how she had a brush with the paranormal, and how she talks about this experience and then later on what she got from it. So it essentially says at the time of her ghost sighting occurred, she was alone in her house. Suddenly she felt a presence. She felt that she was being watched. She had a feeling growing and growing, and this pressure in her chest started, and she had this increase slowly over the course of the week. Every day she'd feel weirder and weirder that something was there.
Are they trying to say it's a panic attack?
Okay, she started to hear whispering sounds, and she became convinced that her house was haunted, right? She'd never had a paranormal experience before, but she started to believe that. So she tried to do a cleansing by burning sage and other things. So she looked up holistic stuff. She felt like it was a negative presence too. It wasn't like a positive thing. So, but no matter what she tried, the pressure on her chest got worse and it started growing physical pain, right? So finally, she took to the internet and arrived at a ghost forum that was run by skeptics, right? Which obviously, So she told them what she was experiencing, all the symptoms that she was occurring, including auditory hallucinations, which were the voices. Justin, can you? So someone finally responded with what she was writing, and they said, "Hey, I've had experience like this before. I had something that was similar to this. Have you checked your carbon monoxide rate recently?" There's
links to that. Yeah.
So don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting here and saying there's not a thing. I'm just saying that this was a particular story that I thought was interesting about how. So she checked her detector. It turned out it was broken, and so she got a new one. It immediately went off. So it was carbon monoxide poisoning she was experiencing, and it was causing brain damage, which is what was causing the hallucinations because it was happening over the course of a week. So it was just an interesting thing. I thought was kind of interesting how it manifested itself as this paranormal feeling when it turned out it was just her being slowly poisoned.
There's also that in EMF, electromagnetic fields can kind of do the same thing. If you have too much electricity, or it's some your breaker is giving off too much electrical fields or whatever, it can freak you out. Do the same things.
There's also another ghost-inducing phenomenon is called infrasound. It is a vibration that occurs below your normal range of hearing. So it's below 20 hertz, right? And there's certain mechanicry, like engines, and other sounds that can give off these infrasounds that you don't know you're hearing a sound, but you get a sense that something's wrong.
It's what they use in horror
They
movies.
use it in horror movies to give you a dreadful feeling. They'll put it in the sound of horror movies so that you kind of have this, like, uh-oh, something's wrong while you're watching a movie. I think it's brilliant that you can utilize it to get...
You
same
can't
thing
hear
with,
it, but you
they
can still perceive it.
They don't do it in haunted houses, but I have heard in haunted houses they will put certain smells that will also kind of trigger the same thing of, like, a weary feeling, like a, uh-oh, something's wrong feeling.
It's not just the mold.
Yeah, it's not just the
black mold growing
the
everywhere.
plastic from plastic from the wax figures that you got from Spencer's Gifts. Do you ever notice that a haunted house always smells like a Spencer's Gift because it has that plasticky like latex smell to it from all the like the corpse fake bodies in there and stuff.
Formaldehyde. Just get the gotta get that dentisty kind of smell.
So dentists, every time I go to the dentist, I get a kind of like a feeling because of the gas that even when I don't get the gas, just because of the gas containers.
Oh, just
and you go in and you sit down
it?
and you hear this noise because they're on. And they say that dentists have one of the highest rates of suicide, and I think it's because of all the gas they're around all the time. That's my personal opinion. I have no science to back this up, but that's just my personal opinion.
Could be because their
or just
jobs
because everyone
dull.
hates them.
And they just give pain to people. Like in Little Shop of Horrors, where he sings about how when he was growing up, he liked to inflict pain upon other people, and he might have been a murderer, but instead his mom's like, you should be a dentist. So instead of becoming a serial killer, he became a dentist.
Outlet. Yep.
Because he likes to inflict pain. They also say vets have a really low love for their job because a lot of people who become vets like animals, and then you spend most of your time putting animals down. Mm-hmm. So.
Yep.
I guess if you don't like animals, you should be a vet.
And sawing their heads off so you can test them for rabies.
Like literally sawing their heads off.
Yep.
Why do you have to saw their heads off to test them for rabies?
You have to test their brain.
Oh.
So
and then you find out they didn't have it, and then you feel really bad.
Because then you put down a dog and sawed its head off.
Yeah. So I guess if you're indifferent
you
to
put it down first, right?
Yeah.
Did you ever see that episode?
You put it down, freeze them, then cut their head off.
Did you ever see that episode of Erie, Indiana, where the one kid gets a headgear, like a full-on braces headgear, and he starts to be able to hear the thoughts of the dogs at the pound, and they're all like trying to kill him. And then at the end, it's implied that they kill him. It was a kid's show.
What obscure show is this?
Erie, Indiana.
No, I've never seen it.
I'm sure I've talked about this numerous times on this show. It was on in the 90s, and it had the kid from... Don't tell me it's not recording.
No, okay. It was just frozen a little bit.
It had the kid from who played the main character in Hocus Pocus
yep.
when he was younger. And it's him, and he moves to a fictional town called Erie, Indiana, where everything's really bizarre, but him and his friend are the only ones that notice. So each episode, something weird happens. And the one episode, his friend gets headgear. He can hear the dogs planning to take over the world. And so they're trying to stop it. There's an episode where the woman in town comes and holds a Tupperware party at his mom's house, and it turns out every night she seals her and her children into Tupperware, and they haven't aged in 30 years. It's just really bizarre stuff. The
kids are like twins, right?
They're twins, and they're supposed to be in their like 40s or 30s, but they still look like they're in high school. There's an episode where the one kid dies and his heart gets transplanted to the girl, and then she starts to behave like him, and every episode's a little bizarre. One where he finds a letter and he has to deliver it to help a spirit, but it's really weird, but in like a kid's way. There's the opening scene is him driving his bike around, and he talks about how Elvis lives on his paper route. So Elvis, the guy dressed as Elvis, will show up randomly, and he'll be like, there's one episode where he gets a lamp with Elvis's face on it. And then later on, they see Elvis, and the one friend goes, "Why does the lamp look like the dude on your paper route?" Or like, there's Bigfoots in town. And again, no one acknowledges No one other than the two of them acknowledged that the town is really weird. That's like the whole shtick. It's a good show. It was on in the 90s. There's 3 seasons of it, too.
Erie, Indiana.
Erie, Indiana. 2 seasons. It's a real good show. One of my favorite episodes is he decides he's not going to set his watch back for daylight savings time, even though everyone tells him he has to. So when he wakes up, he's in the they don't call it the dead zone, but it's the something zone where it's nobody else is there except for him and the girl who didn't do it before, and she's been there for years. And then there's these guys trying to come and take them because they're not supposed to be there, and so they get this help by this milkman, which is then implied that the milkman is him in the future, and they have to get back by winding their watch. It's like a really bizarre. It's a good show though.
They didn't just try that right when they got there, like, oh shit, we're somewhere.
Well,
where
then
no
it
one
would have
else
been a
is. Let
really
me
short
rewind my
episode,
watch.
April. He leaves his watch and he has to get his friend to do it, and the only way he can talk to his friend is through the back of the milk truck, which is his face on the side of the milk carton. And then he can, like, ask the guy what to do.
Okay.
Did I mention it was weird?
There's quite a few shows that you really have to watch as
Yeah.
a kid to enjoy it. Because if April went to watch that today, she wouldn't find it as good as it was back
Probably,
then.
yeah.
You wouldn't have the memories. It's got an episode where he wakes up and he's on the sitcom. Like, he wakes up and he's his character, but everybody else is their actor selves. And they're like, no, this is a sitcom called Erie, Indiana. And he's like, no, it's real. And he's like trying to... So it's like...
They break the fourth
yeah,
wall.
which I love a meta. Like, that's one of my favorite things is when TV shows are super meta. And so he meets this kid who's implied to be an alien who has white hair and a trench coat, and you call him Dash X because he's got a dash and an X on his hand and he doesn't know his own name. It's weird.
So that's where the famous Jet Jackson got their movie idea from, probably.
Oh, is that the plot of the famous Jet Jackson?
They go into this alternate universe where I don't remember if it's. I think the actor famous that plays Famous Jet goes into the real world of Famous Jet, and then
R.I.P.
and then the character comes into the real world.
Oh,
Like
they swap.
Yeah.
Yeah, what was his name?
Lee Thompson
Lee
Young.
Thompson Young.
Yeah.
R.I.P. I
Committed
don't.
suicide.
I don't remember too much. I don't think I ever watched too many episodes of the famous Jet Jackson, but I do remember the episode where the one girl character's sister comes to visit, and it's Rachel McAdams, like pre-Mean Girls, like young, and she's bulimic. I just remember that episode.
Yeah, good show.
Well, we can wrap it up. I'm starting to get paranoid about my frog cookie jar that keeps staring at me. So I think it's time for me to go to bed.
All right, April needs to. She's working on no sleep, so that hour nap.
I keep just staring at it. I'm like, oh my
Oh,
god,
good.
my cookie jar is looking at me.
Well, that would freak anybody out. It's just giant eyes, little
It
dots
usually
in
doesn't.
the center.
For some reason, I'm just
Does its mouth open and does it ribbit when you put a
Yeah.
cookie in?
when you turn it on. Yeah, every time you open it up.
I like cookie jars in theory, but I would never keep cookies in them long enough for them to be functional.
Yeah, no, I think I have some like
they go
old,
straight out of the packet into my mouth.
I think I have like old candy in there. Maybe like a glove.
Well, if you're not too paranoid, you can go over and check it out, but it's just like inching towards it, like trying to touch it.
Is it real? I don't know.
It's freaking me out, man. It's freaking me out. Thanks for joining us, Justin.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Danka.
Danka. Bitches.
Bitches.
Thanks for listening to Podcrashed. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Podcrashed Podcast. You can also check out our website at www.podcrashed.wordpress.com. Email us at podcrashed@gmail.com. We promise to answer your questions. Theme song is by Creo. New episodes come out on Tuesdays. And as always, Donka bitches.